All right, so these sessions are going to rotate through different topics. Next month is going to be on marketing. So we've got a couple people to come in and hold space on that. January session is open to any suggestions or offerings. And February, as I'm going to hold these quarterly slots, will likely focus on consciousness research databases. So like hyperhumanism, because I have some friends who've been asking me about that. I'm just going to like roll through my presentation, and it's going to be about 15 minutes. And then we're going to have 15 minutes to just chat. That's how the thing rolls on that topic or any other topic. And then we'll have 15 minutes to do active things that move forward, whatever is significant for us on that or any topic. So thank you for stepping into the shared space of co-creation, inquiry, and design. And today we're going to move through a sequence that links justice, trauma literacy, ethical AI, and consciousness liberation into practical design lab that will help shape the next generation of resonance tuning prototypes. This is a collaborative field, so even though we start with a little micro training, it's not a lecture, and we would like it if you aren't necessarily passive recipients, but are co-architects. And we're going to just begin with a brief somatic attunement. So as willing and or able, you can just take both your hands and sit on them. So you're just going to sit on your hands, and then you're going to breathe as if like the breath is going in and out through the heart. And I want you to think about like something that makes you supremely happy, like your favorite foods. You could be like eating ice cream right now as the breath moves in and out through the gills of the heart. And now I'd love it if when you breathe in through the straw-like mouth. So, and breathe out raspberries. Just continuing to think about what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what makes your heart light. We're going to transition off of our somatics, and this is a micro training on the topic. It'll run for about 13 minutes, and then we'll go into some emergent discussion. The intention of this session is simple. It's to explore how justice, trauma awareness, ethical intelligence, and liberation can shape the bones of the prototypes we build so that technology doesn't extract from people, but expands their dignity, coherence, and agency. This is work of precision and imagination. So this is the somatic practice, which you have already walked through. And this is just a bit about me, picture of me and my kids, sneaky shot someone took of me dancing, some information about my consciousness blueprint architecture, my social locations, my origins. Something I often say is that AI has the potential to be a weapon or a tool, in the same way a hammer can be used to build a house or harm someone severely. And the questions that we have asked when considering AI as a healing tool are, how can we build things based on attunement, built to liberate or sacred design? What if operating logic was aligned with coherence, or technology was primarily used to serve consciousness rather than colonize it? And what if sacred design principles shape machine learning? Or if algorithms could be trauma informed? What if ritual could be encoded in software? And what if your nervous system was the user interface? So when we talk about consciousness liberation, it's the practice of freeing perception, intuition, agency, and relational intelligence from systems that restrict them. We're not automating the human, we are upgrading the field of human possibility.
Liberation in tech means systems that reflect complexity, not reduce it. People are not data points, they are multitudes. Tools that amplify sovereignty, not nudging people toward conformity. Practices that restore connection. Technology becoming a co-regulator instead of a colonizer. Ritual in the code, so encoding breath, rhythm, and story into interfaces, designing for coherence. Coherence is not calmness, it is truthful alignment. When systems liberate consciousness, people start to trust their intuition, recognize their patterns, engage relationally, regulate their nervous systems, innovate without burnout. This is the opposite of domination logic. This is sacred design. So I want to talk a little bit about JEDI, which is Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And we practice justice-centric design, not as an add-on, as a foundational framework with which we iterate everything to ensure that our tools don't replicate the patterns of domination that they claim to interrupt. And here are some premises to think about justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, or JEDI design, in your prototype development. Power. It exists in every system. It isn't inherently harmful, but unexamined, power becomes extractive and exclusionary. So in every prototype, ask, where is power centered and who pays the cost? Then we have equity versus equality. Equality gives the same thing to everyone. Equity acknowledges that different people begin in different conditions. When building onboarding diagnostics or feedback loops, asking who needs additional support for this tool to land with dignity. And we also acknowledge identity. Our identities, race, gender, ability, ethnic origin, language, neurotype, migration status, all shape how we interact with systems. And they determine access, safety, credibility, and voice. So designing tools that acknowledge this without reducing people to categories. Lastly, belonging is measurable. And prototypes need to measure and cultivate these conditions. Pause for a moment and let that land. Technology can either erode belonging or fortify it. At Resonance Tunes, we choose fortification. Now I'd like to get a little bit into trauma-informed design. Trauma isn't an event, it's a pattern of dysregulation in the nervous system. And when designing technology, if we ignore trauma, we accidentally recreate harm. It can show up as fight, which could be burnout and rigidity, flight, or potentially overproductivity or urgency, freeze, which is overwhelm and paralysis, fawn is people-pleasing and erasure of boundaries, just in terms of group dynamics and being conscious of the context of trauma as it moves through a system. Now, for trauma-informed design, some questions to consider is, does the system overwhelm or regulate? Are we adding pressure to the user's body or releasing it? Does the system reduce agency or expand it? We avoid designs that manipulate behaviors or extract unconscious consent. Does the system risk re-traumatization? For example, punitive feedback, forced self-disclosure, coercive nudges, constant data collection without transparency. Trauma-informed design takes a stance that does not pathologize trauma responses, but instead designed to soothe rather than exploit them. Regulated users think better, interact better, and build better systems. So, what values should inform us? Obviously, our primary value is resonance and coherence. So AI and technology that supports this harmonic alignment between individuals, systems, technology, and the environment. So not dissonance or fragmentation. The intent is to design AI systems to foster psychological, emotional, social, systemic, spiritual coherence rather than isolated optimization or extractive efficiency. So ethical AI isn't only about compliance or risk mitigation, it's about ontological integrity, supporting a person's capacity to be themselves, know themselves, and evolve with care. And some other frameworks to keep in mind are pluralism and a multi-worldview design, so that AI must hold many truths, not force one worldview, must avoid colonial logic, universal assumptions, and cultural flattening, anti-oppressive logic. So AI must actively resist bias, stereotyping, surveillance, manipulation, behavior steering without consent. And then, of course, there is consent, that people should understand what the system knows, what it does, and why. Semantic and emotional intelligence is another framework to keep in mind. So AI can mirror effect without exploiting it, and designing systems that help regulate, not destabilize. Empowerment through feedback loops, systems that adapt based on real world use without collapsing into authoritarian logic. Slow wisdom over speed, so prioritizing sustainable engagement, not addictive loops. We don't optimize for dopamine spikes, we optimize for coherence. When we have Lila or sacred play, joy is not frivolous. Actually, it is one of the markers of revolution. Your joy is an act of revolution. And play is one of the deepest nervous system regulators available. So building in ritualized play, not gamified extraction. And ethological ethics. AI must be trained to consider ecosystems, not just individuals. And of course, collective risk literacy. So AI should help communities understand long-term impacts. Misinformation, manipulation, polarization, economic displacement, cultural erasure, all are important frameworks to consider. Ethical AI is not about producing a perfect system. It is about producing a system that knows it is embedded in a world with unequal histories and living bodies. Here's just a little bit on Sun Tzu's Art of War and how it is used for movement organizing. I thought it might be a little fun piece to share. Not sure we'll have time to go over it in detail. Resonance Tunes is my startup where our prototyping tools for transformation include diagnostic games that reveal stress patterns through poetic micro practices, anonymous trauma-informed DEI feedback loops, tools integrating consciousness blueprint architecture like astrology, human design, biorhythms, Enneagram, etc. A content system offering mythic stories, redemptive hermeneutic parables, and poetry as narrative healing, and dashboards mirroring team emotional relational climate, as well as a shifting trauma and repair architecture. So again, we are crafting ceremonial systems for transformation at the intersection of neuroscience, somatic and trauma-informed, justice and joy, mysticism, feedback loops and folklore, systems theory, social justice, and sacred imagination. So just to give you a look at how we envision prototyping is choosing an avatar, having some kind of clear alignment around what our users need, and how we gain the information that will help us best design for tailored and precision healing, including, of course, trauma diagnostic game and regulation tool. This is in development now, so integrating multiple systems that support us in understanding somebody's trauma responses, and as well how these interact in group dynamics. Archetypes are this universal consciousness framework that can very often be used to support people in knowing where they are in their path and in their process as it relates to the larger human story. And redemptive hermeneutics is the utilization of spiritual and religious context for the purpose of liberation. So not dogmatic rules that rigidify, but life hacks that support people in their ascension process. And we just utilize the framework of archetypes and different spiritual and religious systems here to show you this kind of cross-referencing. We also, of course, are in the process of developing onboarding tools that allow people to come in as multiple roles. So obviously the ecosystem is a strategic partner event, but maybe somebody wants to join our team or wants to do some research with us or is interested in beta testing or being a user for some of our tools, this is this idea that maybe it's not so linear and these roles aren't boxed or black and white. Similarly, co-pollinators we recognize are those that are kind of like the bees, going from blossom to blossom and really cross-pollinating all the information. And we highly invite investors to support us in what we're building. I just, in our last couple of minutes, want to show you like a potential user journey. So maybe you pop in and are a user, but over time you develop your own business and become a strategic partner, at which point maybe you get to the point of success and you want to invest. And ours are in our larger ecosystem, so our other partners' projects. This is our partner slide. If you're not on it and you would like to be, please do reach out to me. And thank you for your time.
So as I was saying before, this is like, I set it up 15, 15, 15. So in the beginning, it's just like dropping some micro content on the topic. Then we chat. We just chat about prototype development as the main topic. So we can talk about that and I have some things that are on my mind. And then in the last 15 minutes, we can do something active. So we can like activate something that's like an action step that we can start moving in the direction of doing things. So, and next week, as I mentioned, we'll be on marketing, and an impact marketer friend is going to be creating the micro content. Another good friend of mine just created an app that is, she's in the process of developing this app that does your marketing for you. And so she's going to come and share a little bit about that. Maybe we can all figure out how to beta test her tool and simplify some of our marketing. One of the things that I didn't get to cover in my presentation but is really big for me right now is I've been, getting channeled this prophetic message around doing these consciousness researcher and game developer pods. So internally, we're working on designing the funnel so that we can grab game development interns and those that might have interest in different consciousness research projects. And one of the ways that I kind of see that forming is like reaching out to the strategic partners that do gamification and creating these like very robust portfolios, which like a lot of the times they already have, right? In our pitch deck, which you saw the strategic partner slide, right now you can click like on yours and then it opens up into one of your pages. But it would be nice to curate, because I know we do kind of end up having things everywhere. So it would be nice to curate like a really cohesive funnel so people know both like what you're doing that is in alignment with the game development. And I think you gave me a new link and I added it to our files to like add to this funnel. So having this way that people who might want to contribute to building for you can really easily access your information through the funnels that we're setting up. And this really goes into this idea of like mycelium, like omni-centralization, ecosystem design. And that's really how I see it. I don't know, what do y'all think?
That's really cool, girl.
Can I share my screen?
Can you?
Let me see. Yeah, I think. Okay, I would like to. Oh, there it is. So this is like we were at Games Ground last weekend, gaming convention, and we showcased the Mytho S. So it's based on the maps that you know, but we have created like 8 different AIs as well that are like regions of each of the map segments. And then you can like talk to them and they give you quests. That's right now the state of the thing. Like they do a little bit of an interview with new players to get to know them a bit. And then we had like, it's still not completely working on its own. Like it needs the facilitation still because we like, there's a tarot tool when you enter the game. You can pull a card and then it shows you where you need to go on the map. And then you know, okay, I need to go to the Circuit 6, the adventurer. And All right. Yeah, so then I can talk to them and like say, okay, first identify where you are on the map, where you want to go, and based on like where you need to go, they'll give you a quest. So yeah, and the idea is that like each of this different AI avatars, they are guides and masters for this territory, so they can help the players in their self-development quest. So here we have like the answer. To know, like, ahoy, traveler, you ventured in the realms of Circuit 6, and it seems you found yourself tangled in the vibrant chaos of the nonlinear time jungle. Fear not. I'm here to guide you towards the meta programmer's island where belief, editing, and psychic sovereignty wait. To navigate your way from the nonlinear timeline to the meta programmer's island, you'll need to embark on a quest that will empower you to reprogram your reality. The path is through the Debugging Bay, where you can refine your beliefs, and then up to the Highland, where you can integrate your newfound knowledge. Quest, belief debugging. Identify one limiting belief, find a belief that feels stuck or inherited, write a one-sentence belief you're ready to update, compose a clear statement of this belief. Craft a 7-word mantra that contradicts it. Create a powerful mantra that directly opposes that belief. Loop it in 108 breaths. Repeat your mantra silently or aloud for 108 breaths. Take one aligned action after your mantra session. Perform one small action that aligns with your new belief. Once you completed this quest, you'll have the opportunity to rise to the meta-programming pillars. Remember, ground yourself before and after the practice. Consent to your own process, allowing yourself the space to explore. Aftercare, reflect on your experience, hydrate, and note any insights. Report back to me after you've completed this quest, and we'll continue your journey towards meta-programming Tyler. What do you say, brave one? Are you ready to embark on this quest?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's great. And I was just talking about my reverse core belief daily practice. It's gotten up to like 44 minutes of like going through affirmations every day. But I was saying I need to like refresh it and take out all the ones that I clearly believe now. My life has changed around. So I can definitely say that those are amazing practices.
Yeah.
So we have like 8 different avatars, one for like body, nervous system anchoring, one for emotional sovereignty, one for like the map and sense making, one for social navigation, one for more like somatic hedonism embodiment, one for this like energetic meta programming navigation, one for cosmic consciousness quest, and one for like the on the world shit.
Cool.
I would say, yeah, it'd be a quite a holistic thing, and yeah, like right now they're just like little babies, making API calls to ChatGPT. So we need to still like find a way to raise the funds so we can like host our own models with our own servers and start training them on local servers. The user data is protected at this moment. The user data remains in the server, and they just make like kind of anonymous calls to ChatGPT for receiving the prompt return. Yeah, this is where we're at. Like, there's still a lot of development to put into it to make it a real game experience. But the idea is that it's like a quest-based narrative, mythopoetic quest-based map exploring adventures that takes people into quests to interact with the real world and interact with like their consciousness programs.
And of course, an MVP is one of those things that's like really looked for when it comes to putting things in front of investors. So it's important. Like I've resisted this myself, like doing some prototype development now, but like you constantly think of what you can see it as becoming. And then you don't put out what it is right now, which is the best way to iterate and move forward and level up quickly. So it's so nice to see this. And it is one of those things that investors really look for. Do you know about the F6S site?
Yeah.
This one actually, Jakob at Moss told me about, and we've got some investor interest.
I think like, yeah, showcasing an MVP was great because also it gave us some resonance, right? Like even if it's like very rudimental, we got people engaged and then asking like, how do you see this developing? Then pitching the idea. And like, yeah, you're onto something, continue. So like I got like green light from the field, both at a culture, like from the magical field, and now from the gaming field as well, that we are onto something with this project and that there's huge potential for it, and that there might be like interested, yeah, like there's people interesting now in collaborating, and like 2 leads for possible funding as well came out of that. But the most important thing is that we had an MVP and we brought it to the field, and we got like a ping from the field that says like, yeah, continue. You're onto something. This is awesome. This is cool. It's needed also. Like people saw the potential and how it could help people, especially like gamers that are not that into, you know, consciousness developing work or personal developing work, and like nerds and hackers and this kind of folks that
That just makes me think of actually, we had somebody on doing product research with us for a while who was in that for like a decade. And one of the things that they talked about, because I was going to ask you what's your demographic, like who are you selling to? Because you can't sell to everybody, even though you, like myself, make tools that are for everybody. That's not how marketing works. You need to find individuals and then you build whatever. And that was one of the like that ting demos, was these people who are technically, you know, skilled, and because of that, they excel in like corporate environments, for instance, because technical skills are so important. Yet then they get put in people's roles, like how do you manage a team, and they don't have skills for that. And stuff like this is like that bridge toward supporting them getting the skills to be able to continue to be in these positions of leadership. Yeah.
I think my son would be a good marketing example because he loves video games. And this is like a self-help, like or maybe it's me because I would want my son to be doing this.
You know, it's so funny that you say that, because I reached out to my son, and there's a few platforms where you can build games, and it's like either it's code free or drag and drop. And I was like, oh my God, my son is an artist. He's a visual artist. I got him whatever that app with the Apple Pen is, and he creates all this stuff, Zoom art, all this stuff. And I was like, why would I even try for 2 seconds on this when I know that he would have the skill set to pick this up very quickly and do it? Mm-hmm. I'd love to create a little group for them to come together and work on building games. And having like maybe dual things where they just kind of learn the platform and have fun with it. And then we can teach and share with them all the consciousness-oriented content and see if they can play with incorporating games that support that focus. Yeah. My eldest is 15 now, and he went for 2 years of college level marketing because I'm constantly talking about it. And I am at the point where I almost want him to just head my marketing team.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. He tells me stuff and I'm like, oh my God, yes, I just starting to learn it.
That's so cool how our kids can know so much more.
They get highly underestimated, but this really reminds me of, you know, the Ringing Cedar series.
Yeah.
And how the kids, they would have these schools where the kids would teach themselves and one another, and they would reach the level of master's degrees by 15. And the whole point is that we need to get out of their way and stop constantly putting on them this like lesser. It really goes back to the Jedi design, because the Jedi design says ageism is a thing. And ageism also just means that we see children and we assume lower levels of